Hi guys, welcome back to At Home with Holly. My name's Holly. I'm so glad that you're here with me today. Today we are going to be doing some major freezer clean out and cleaning in preparation for butchering our 8 turkeys. And then we also have 39 Cornish cross meat chickens that are going to be ready to get processed in about 5 weeks. So it's time to go through the freezer and get everything cooked and prepared and cleaned out and wiped down. So the first thing we're going to do is pull everything out of the freezer and start working through it. So I've got some bones that I've got roasting for bone broth. I've got some burger that I'm going to get browned up and put into jars so we can have that as shelf-stable projects. Shelf-stable products. The goal here is to get things out of the deep freezer. So you can see I'm getting some nice color on this meat. And then I did find some onions from last year that need used up. So I added those and the bones and some carrots to the stock pot after we roasted the bones. And I'm going to make some really yummy broth as well. So I'm excited to be able to take all the things that are in my freezer and turn it into products that we're going to be able to use. A lot of the times I just get bones and I'm like, oh yeah, I'll just put these in the freezer and I'll, get to them later. And this was definitely one of those times where I dug through the bottom of the freezer and I saw what needed done. And I was like, okay, it is time to get these things out of the freezer and get them into their final form. So I browned up the meat, got it canned into jars. It's not my favorite thing to have this texture of meat, but I find that if I brown it really, really well and then put it in the jars and I cook it for something like tacos or something like that, it's really nice to be able to have a weeknight meal be ready without having to defrost meat and stuff. So then I also went ahead and found bags and bags and bags from a butcher box order that I had of wings. And so normally the wings are frozen and they're, straight from butcher box, they're frozen, but they're not seasoned or anything like that. So if I'm going to cook them for a weeknight meal, I'm going to have to thaw them, season them, do all that stuff. So I went ahead and took all of the bones and I let them kind of partially thaw just so I could separate them out of the packages. And then I went ahead and got our favorite rubs on them and resealed them up in the vacuum bag so they're marinating. So now when I pull these packages out, they're already going to be marinated. I can leave them in the fridge overnight to thaw, and then I can just throw them in the oven. Again, a quick meal. So after I got everything out of the freezers, I was able to condense. I have one stand-up freezer and two chest freezers. And so I was able to condense everything into the 2 chest freezers and get the fridge thawed and cleaned out. And then I was like, okay, it is time to keep going. So I found some English muffins that were in this freezer. And so I wanted to turn them into something yummy. So these English muffins had been in there for probably like 6 months. And then I knew that I had a lot of bulk breakfast sausage from when I had gotten the half a hog. So I decided to turn those into convenience items. So not cleaning out the fridge by changing this item into its final form, but definitely making it so that it's actually going to be consumed instead of just something that I keep looking at every time I open the freezer door. So I went ahead and got all the English muffins opened up. I started off doing the fork split thing, and then I just kind of gave up and started ripping them in half. And then I got a little bit of butter on each of them, and I got them in the oven to start toasting. And while those were getting toasted, I went ahead and formed up patties. Now, I made these way too large. Next time I would probably make them like half the size, but that's okay. So they're going to be very protein packed. And then I went ahead and, I pulled out the English muffins because they were done being toasted, sausages being browned up. And then I went ahead and took all of the eggs and scrambled them together and just put them on a baking sheet. And I let them bake so that I could just cut up the egg into little sandwich-sized portions. And then I went ahead and got some honey mustard made up. One of the people that I follow on YouTube is Becky from Acre Homestead, and she always puts honey mustard on her breakfast sandwiches. And, my breakfast sandwiches, I make them the same every time, and I like honey mustard, so I thought, well, I'll try a little bit of that. So I went ahead and made up some honey mustard and just kind of, which by the way, it's delicious, and just kind of drizzled some on half of the English muffins. And then I went ahead and started assembling our sandwiches. And these sandwiches I kept pretty simple. I just did the English muffin, the honey mustard, the sausage patty. I did some American cheese, and I also did the egg and then another muffin on top. So then I went ahead and got these wrapped up individually and in the saran wrap, and then I flash froze them, and then I put them in Ziploc bags. And when I reheat these, I usually, if they're still frozen, I'll just wrap them up in a paper towel and microwave them for about a minute. And if they're not frozen, if I remembered to put them in the fridge the night before at the beginning of the week or something, then it's about 45 seconds. So then the next thing that I wanted to clean out of the freezer was I wanted to take the box of blueberries that I had and turn them into blueberry pie filling that could sit on my pantry shelf. So I went ahead and I followed the recipe from my canning book, and I got the liquid made, and then I went ahead and got the blueberries in the pan, and it did actually say to add red and blue food coloring. I guess the blueberries do not look very vibrant and appetizing when they're in their pie filling form liquid. So I went ahead and got that all mixed up together, got the blueberries in the water, just like it said to, got them cooked for a minute, and then drained them, added them to the liquid that we're going to be using as the pie filling. And then I went ahead and got them in the jars, got all the rims wiped off, got brand new lids and rings on there. Well, the rings are not brand new, but the lids are brand new. And then I was able to get everything jarred up. So I want to thank you guys for being here with me while we did a deep freezer clean. I want to thank you guys so much for the likes and the comments and the shares. If you haven't subscribed, please consider subscribing. We have a whole lot more growing and preserving and chickens and fun adventures to go on together. Can't wait to see you guys next time. Bye, my friend.